Find a comfortable position now. Let your body settle wherever you are resting. Feel the weight of yourself against the mattress, against the pillow. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw unclench. And take one slow breath in through your nose. And let it out gently through your mouth. Good. Tonight we are going somewhere. Not to the bottom of the ocean. Not into the dark water. Tonight we are going somewhere warmer. Somewhere bright with torchlight and loud with the sounds of the greatest city the ancient world ever built. Tonight we are going to Rome. The year is 100 AD. The city has been growing for over 800 years. It is home to 1 million people. 1 million. In a world where most cities hold 50,000 at most, there is nowhere else on earth like it. Picture yourself standing at the edge of the city as evening falls. The sun is going down behind the 7 hills. The sky above Rome turns from blue to amber to a deep, warm rose. And as the light fades, something extraordinary begins to happen. The city wakes up. Not in the way a modern city wakes up in the morning. Rome has been awake since before dawn. But as night falls, a different Rome emerges. A Rome of shadows and firelight. Of whispered conversations in narrow alleyways. Of wealthy men carried home in litters by torchlight. Of bakers beginning their work for tomorrow morning's bread. Of carts rumbling over stone streets for the first time since dawn. Let your eyes close if they are not already. Let the sounds of this ancient city drift toward you. We are going to spend the night here together. Walk in these streets. Sitting in these homes. Eating this food. Listening to these people. Everything I tell you tonight is real. Every detail is drawn from the actual historical record. From letters and poems and inscriptions on walls that survived 2,000 years to reach us. So settle in now. Let your breathing slow. And let ancient Rome come to life around you. Before we walk these streets, I want you to understand the scale of what you are entering. Rome in the year 100 AD is not a city of marble temples and gleaming white stone, at least not most of it. That is the Rome of the hilltops and the Forum and the Palatine where the emperors live. Most of Rome is something very different. Most of Rome is made of towering apartment buildings called insulae. The word means islands. And they do look like islands. Great blocks of buildings rise in 5, 6, even 7 stories into the sky, packed so tightly together that the narrow streets between them barely see sunlight even at noon. Up to 40,000 of these buildings fill the city. They creak in the wind. The construction is poor. Landlords build higher and higher to squeeze more rent from more tenants. The upper floors sway. The walls crack. Fires start easily. There are no chimneys, and people cook with open flames on wooden floors. Rome burns regularly. Almost every year, some neighborhood catches fire in the night. The Great Fire under Nero 40 years ago destroyed 10 of the city's 14 districts in 6 days. And yet, people rebuild. People return. Because this is Rome. Because there is nowhere else. The streets themselves are remarkable. Narrow, certainly. Dark at night, absolutely. There are no streetlights in Rome, no gas lamps, no torches mounted on walls. After dark, the only light comes from the windows of apartments, from the open doors of taverns, from the torches carried by slaves walking ahead of wealthy citizens, and from the moon. On a moonless night, the streets of Rome are almost completely black and dangerous. Gangs roam the streets after dark. Thieves and cut-purses work the shadows near taverns. Even the Roman police, the vigils, cannot be everywhere. Most Romans, unless they have business or are escorted by slaves with torches, stay inside once the sun goes down. But during the day and in the early evening, the streets of Rome are the most alive place in the ancient world. They have no addresses. That detail always stops people when they hear it. In a city of 1 million people, there are no addresses. Only the main streets have names. If you needed to send a letter, you gave directions like this. From the Moon Gate, walk toward the granaries. At the first street behind the baths, turn left, then go west, then up the steps and right. And after the temple there is a 7-story building with a basket-weaving shop. Ask there. Can you imagine navigating a city of 1 million people this way? And yet they did. Every single day. For centuries. Let your body relax a little more now. Let your arms feel heavy. Your legs heavy. Your breathing slowing. Who are the people of this city? Rome in 100 AD is extraordinary in its diversity. People from every corner of the known world have come here. From Egypt and Syria and Gaul and Britain and North Africa and Greece and Persia and beyond. Their languages mix in the streets. Their foods blend in the markets. Their gods stand side by side in neighborhood shrines. There is Gaius, a wealthy senator who lives in a domus on the Palatine Hill. His home has a central courtyard open to the sky, a garden of roses and herbs, rooms painted in deep red and ochre with scenes from mythology, mosaic floors, and a private bath. He has 40 slaves. He has never cooked a meal or swept a floor in his life. There is Marcus, a freedman, a former slave who bought his own freedom, who now runs a small bakery near the Tiber. He starts work before midnight because bread must be ready before dawn. His hands are always white with flour. His arms are strong from kneading dough. He sleeps in the afternoon, curled on a mat behind his oven, because the nights are his working hours. There is Livia, a merchant's wife in the Subura district, the roughest, noisiest, most densely packed neighborhood in the city. She lives on the 4th floor of an insula. Her apartment has 2 rooms. No kitchen. She uses a small clay brazier for heating food. No running water on the upper floors. She carries it up from the fountain in the street below every morning. 6 flights of stairs. Every single day. And there is Titus, a young boy of 12 who runs errands for a money changer in the Forum. He is fast. He knows every alley, every shortcut, every loose stone in the road between the Forum and the Aventine Hill. He has never left the city. He has never seen a field or a forest or a river wider than the Tiber. Rome is his entire world. These 4 people have almost nothing in common. They speak different accents of Latin. They eat different food. They sleep in different kinds of beds on different kinds of floors. The senator's world and the baker's world barely touch. And yet they share one city, one sky, one moon rising over the same 7 hills. Let that thought settle. Let us begin our journey at dawn. Not because this is a comfortable hour. It is not. Dawn in Rome is one of the loudest moments of the day. A Roman poet named Martial wrote a famous complaint about it. He said that before the sun was even up, he was tormented by the hammers of metal workers and the shouting of school children already at their lessons and the laughter of people passing in the streets. Rome, he said, is at my bed's head from the first light. The wealthy deal with this by retreating to the deepest rooms of their houses, surrounded by thick walls and garden shrubberies that muffle the noise. Everyone else simply wakes up. The first sounds of a Roman morning. The creak of cartwheels on stone. Because wheeled traffic was banned from the city streets during the day, the streets are too narrow and too crowded for carts. Everything must be delivered at night or at the very first light of dawn. So the baker's carts and the wine merchant's carts and the builder's carts all rumble through the streets in the dark before sunrise, unloading their cargo before the day's foot traffic makes the roads impassable. The smell of bread baking. Rome has over 200 bakeries. The grain comes from Egypt, shipped up the Tiber on enormous barges. The state distributes free grain to the poor every month, a system called the annona, because hungry Romans riot, and the emperors have learned this lesson many times. The sound of the public fountains. Rome has over 1,100 public fountains fed by aqueducts that carry fresh water from springs in the hills outside the city. This water runs constantly, 24 hours a day, because there are no taps to turn it off. The overflow runs down channels in the street, flushing the gutters. It is the sound of water that never stops, running day and night through a city of stone. And the voices. Latin spoken in a dozen different accents. Greek, which is so commonly spoken in Rome that many educated Romans consider it their second native language. Aramaic from traders from the East. Egyptian. Celtic dialects from Gaul. The sound of a city that has absorbed the whole world. Let your breathing slow as we move through this morning together. Of all the things that define daily life in ancient Rome, nothing is more central than the baths. The Romans did not simply bathe. They made bathing a social institution, a ritual, a form of civic life that was as important to a Roman as going to church might be to someone in the medieval world. By the year 100 AD, Rome has over 900 public bathhouses. 900. The largest of them, the great imperial thermae that will be built in the centuries to come, will be able to hold 3,000 people at a time. They will have cold rooms and warm rooms and hot rooms, swimming pools, libraries, gardens, shops, lecture halls, exercise yards. Imagine a building the size of a small town, dedicated entirely to bathing and socializing. Even the modest neighborhood baths, the ones Marcus the baker and Livia from the Subura use, are remarkable by any standard outside Rome. Hot water heated by furnaces underneath the floors. Pools of different temperatures. Attendants who scrape the oil and dirt from your skin with a curved metal tool called a strigil. Masseurs. Vendors selling food and drinks and perfumes. The entry fee is almost nothing. Sometimes free entirely, paid for by a wealthy patron who wants the neighborhood's goodwill. Everyone goes. The senator and the freedman. The soldier and the merchant. Men and women, usually at different times or in different sections. You go to the baths to get clean. But more importantly, you go to talk, to make deals, to hear news, to argue about politics, to meet friends, to simply be part of the city. A Roman who could not afford the baths was not just unwashed. They were cut off from the social life of their neighborhood. The baths were not a luxury. They were the city. Let your body feel warm now. Heavy and warm. The way you might feel after a long hot bath of your own. The kind of warmth that spreads through your limbs and makes your eyelids heavy. Let us talk about food. Because nothing tells you more about how a civilization actually lived than what it put in its mouth. For the poor, and the majority of Romans are poor, food is simple and repetitive. The grain ration from the state is the foundation of everything. Bread. Porridge. Flatbread cooked on the clay brazier. Most poor Romans have no kitchen at all. Their apartments are too small, too much of a fire risk. So they eat out. Every neighborhood in Rome is lined with thermopolia, ancient fast food counters. A stone counter with large ceramic jars sunk into it, each jar holding a different hot food. Lentil stew. Chickpeas in oil. Sausages. Olives. Wine mixed with water. Archaeologists in Pompeii, the city frozen by Vesuvius a generation before our story takes place, found 80 thermopolia in a town of 20,000 people. In the jars of one of them, sealed by ash for 2,000 years, they found the remains of the last meal ever served there. Duck, pork, fish, snails, fava beans. Frozen in time. The main meal of the day for most Romans, rich and poor alike, is in the late afternoon, between 4 and 6 in the evening. The morning meal is usually just bread, perhaps dipped in wine or olive oil or spread with honey or cheese. The midday meal is barely more. But the evening meal, the cena, is the anchor of the day. For the wealthy, this means a triclinium, a dining room with 3 couches arranged around a low table. Romans eat lying down, propped on their left elbow, reaching with your right hand. No forks. They have not been invented yet. Fingers and spoons and bread used to scoop. The courses at a wealthy Roman dinner go on for hours. Eggs and olives and salted fish to begin. Then meat, dormice stuffed with pork and pine nuts, roasted boar, pheasant, shellfish from the coast. Then sweet things, honey cakes and figs and dates and wine thickened with honey, and all of it seasoned with garum. Garum is Rome's most beloved condiment. It is made by fermenting fish, usually mackerel or anchovies, in salt for months until they break down into a pungent, deeply savory liquid. The Romans put it on everything. In everything. It is their salt, their seasoning, their flavor base for almost every dish. It smells terrible being made. The Romans knew this. The factories that made garum were required by law to be built outside city walls. But the finished sauce? They loved it completely. Your breathing is slowing now. As the sun goes down over Rome, the city transforms. The wheeled traffic that was banned all day begins to enter the city. The delivery carts and wine wagons and building materials that have been waiting outside the city gate since morning now rumble through the gates and fill the streets. The sound of iron wheels on stone cobbles echoes off the walls of the insulae. The poet Juvenal complained that you could not get a good night's sleep in Rome because of this constant rumbling. He said the noise was enough to drive a man to the countryside. And yet most Romans slept through it. The way you can learn to sleep through almost anything if it is the background noise of your entire life. The taverns fill as evening comes. For most Romans, the tavern is not simply a place to drink. It is their living room, their social club, their news source, their entertainment venue. Taverns serve simple food: bread, cheese, chickpeas, sausages, olives, wine. They have dice games and board games. They have graffiti on the walls, declarations of love, insults, jokes, advertisements, political slogans, the names of gladiators who people admire. Archaeologists have found hundreds of pieces of Roman graffiti preserved in Pompeii. Some of them are quite extraordinary in how ordinary they are. One says simply, Restitutus has deceived many girls. Another, whoever loves, let him flourish. Let him perish who knows not love. Let him perish twice over who forbids love. Another, Gaius was here. 2,000 years later, and we are still writing on walls. The wealthy spend their evenings differently. The dinner parties of Rome's elite can last for hours, sometimes all night. Guests are carried to the host's domus in litters, portable couches carried by slaves, because the streets are too dangerous to walk at night without a full escort. The host demonstrates his wealth and generosity through the quality of his table. To be known as a generous host is one of the highest social distinctions a Roman can achieve. To be known as a mean one is a social catastrophe. There are poets who perform, musicians who play the lyre and the olos, a double flute, dancers, philosophers who debate, storytellers. The wine flows all evening, always mixed with water. Drinking wine unmixed is considered barbaric in Rome. The ratio of wine to water is debated seriously, argued over, considered a marker of culture and taste. Let your thoughts slow down now, the way wine might slow them. Gently, without urgency. Now let us step outside. It is past midnight in Rome. The narrow streets between the insula are almost completely dark. The oil lamps in the windows have mostly been extinguished. Oil is expensive, and people do not burn it while they sleep. The moon is a thin crescent, giving barely enough light to see the cobblestones underfoot. The sound of the cartwheels is constant. Somewhere above you, a baby is crying in an apartment. From the tavern at the corner comes a burst of laughter and then silence. A group of 4 men moves through the street. They walk quickly, purposefully. 2 of them carry torches. One is a wealthy merchant returning from a dinner party. The other 3 are his slaves, there to protect him and light his way. Without slaves and torches, a wealthy Roman does not walk at night. The night belongs to other people. The vigils patrol in groups. They are Rome's night watch. 7 cohorts of 1,000 men each, spread across the city. Their job is to watch for fires and keep some semblance of order in the dark streets. They carry buckets and hooks and vinegar-soaked blankets for fighting fires. They are not soldiers. Many of them are freedmen, former slaves. But they are present, moving through the dark city like a slow pulse. And there are the bakers. While Rome sleeps, or tries to, the bakers are at work. Marcus has been at his oven since midnight. His apprentice kneads the dough. The oven has been heating since yesterday evening, the dome of stone holding the heat of the fire that burned earlier. The bread goes in on long wooden paddles. The smell of baking bread drifts into the street. It is the most comforting smell in the world. 2,000 years ago, and still, that smell. Warm bread at night. It has not changed. There is something deeply moving about that. The continuity of it. That a baker in Rome at midnight in the year 100 AD experienced the same warmth, the same smell, the same quiet satisfaction of work done well in the dark. As you perhaps know yourself, the satisfaction of work done, the quiet of the night around it. Let that feeling rest with you now. Now let us come inside. Let us step out of the dark street and into one of the insulae. We are visiting Livia on the 4th floor. She and her husband and their 2 children share 2 rooms. The main room serves as living space, dining space, and bedroom for the children. The smaller room is where Livia and her husband sleep. The furniture is simple. A wooden bed frame strung with rope for the mattress to rest on. The mattress is stuffed with straw, wool if they are lucky. A wooden chest for clothes and valuables. A small shrine in the corner, a lararium with figurines of the household gods. A small oil lamp on a hook near the door. The walls are painted. Not extravagantly. Livia and her family are not wealthy. But even in modest Roman apartments, the walls are often painted in simple patterns of red and ochre and deep green. The Romans love color. Even the poor surround themselves with it. At night, Livia's husband prays briefly at the lararium. A few words spoken quietly to the household gods. An offering of a small piece of bread or a drop of wine. These small rituals anchor the day. They have been done by every generation of this family for as long as anyone can remember. Then the lamp is put out, and they sleep, or they try to, because above them someone is walking. Below them the street is still rumbling with carts. Somewhere in the building a door slams. The baby from the apartment next door begins to cry again. Romans, by all historical accounts, were not great sleepers. They slept in fragments. An hour here, 2 hours there. They woke in the night and lay in the dark listening to the city. They slept again before dawn. The concept of one long, uninterrupted 8-hour block of sleep, what we consider normal today, was not the Roman experience of the night at all. They lived with the night as something to move through, not something to defeat or control. Just as you are moving through your night right now, breathing, resting, not fighting the dark, simply being in it. There is one more place I want to take you tonight before we let Rome sleep. Come with me down the hill. Through the narrow streets of the Subura, past the closed shutters of the thermopolium, and the faint glow of the baker's oven, and the sound of a drunk man singing somewhere in the dark. Down toward the valley between the Palatine and the Capitoline hills. Down to the Forum. By day, the Roman Forum is the most important piece of ground in the world. It is where law is made and justice administered, where merchants trade and politicians speak, where triumphal processions pass and elections are held, and criminals are tried, and senators argue about the fate of nations. It is the center of an empire that stretches from the deserts of North Africa to the forests of Scotland, from the Atlantic coast of Portugal to the rivers of Mesopotamia, from the Rhine to the Nile. All roads lead to Rome. This was not just a saying. It was literally true. Every road in the empire was measured from a single golden milestone, the Millennium Orium, that stood in the Forum. Every distance in the known world began here. But at midnight, the Forum is empty. The great temples stand in darkness. The Temple of Saturn, the Temple of Vesta, where the eternal flame is tended by the Vestal Virgins, 6 women chosen as children to dedicate 30 years of their lives to keeping a fire burning that must never go out. The fire has been burning for hundreds of years. It is still burning now, at midnight, in its small round temple at the edge of the Forum. A single flame, unbroken for centuries. The marble of the temples glows faintly in the moonlight. The columns cast long, thin shadows across the paving stones. The smell of incense from the evening's rituals still drifts in the air. Standing here at midnight, you can feel the weight of it. The weight of all the decisions made here, all the speeches given, all the wars declared, all the laws written, all the lives that turned on what was said and decided in this space, and all of it now silent, under the same moon that shines on you right now. Let that land quietly. The same moon. Rome does not go fully quiet. It never truly does. Even at the deepest hour of the night, there is the rumble of carts, the distant bark of a dog, the creak of a building settling, the sound of the fountains running, always running in the dark. But there is a quality to Rome at 3 in the morning that is different from Rome at noon. A softness, an in-between quality. As if the city is holding its breath between one day and the next. The great senator on the Palatine is asleep in his deep-walled room, dreaming perhaps of the speech he will give tomorrow. Marcus the baker is watching his bread with quiet satisfaction, the warmth of the oven on his face, the city outside invisible and irrelevant. Livia lies in the dark beside her husband, listening to the carts below and the breathing of her children in the next room. Young Titus, the errand boy, is curled on a mat near the money changer's shop, too tired from the day's running to hear anything at all. 1 million people, each one alone in the dark with their breathing, each one carrying their particular life, their worries, their hopes, their small joys and large fears, into the quiet hours, just as you are right now, in your own dark, your own quiet, your own in-between place between one day and the next. You are not so different from Livia lying in her painted room above the rumbling street, or from Marcus warm beside his oven, or from any of the 1,000,000 souls in that ancient city who closed their eyes and let the night take them. This is what human beings have always done. In every century, in every city, under every sky, we lie down, we breathe, we let go. You do not need to hold on to Rome tonight. Let it drift, the way all cities eventually drift. Into history, into memory, into the kind of story that someone tells in a quiet voice to someone resting in the dark. Rome fell. All empires fall. But tonight it was alive. In the smell of bread and the sound of fountains and the light of a single flame in a small temple that has been burning longer than anyone can remember. It was alive in the prayers of a woman standing at a small shrine in a painted room, in the hands of a baker white with flour, in the fast feet of a boy who knows every alley in a city of 1,000,000. It was alive. And in some way, it still is. Every time someone tells the story. Every time someone lies in the dark and lets it come to them. The same moon. The same night. The same slow breathing. Let your thoughts go now. All of them. Rome and time and everything you carry. Just let it all go. Into the dark. Into the warm quiet. Into sleep. You are safe. You are warm. You are exactly where you were supposed to be. Good night. Sleep well.